Hey guys, where are we at today? We're at a special location, and I'll tell you in a second here. But this video is about my 3-month review of what it was like to live in Turkey. So let's check it out.
Hey, Vern.
Hey! So today we are at the main park in Albania in Tirana. And I believe they call this man-made lake. And I'll show you it here. What a beautiful day. Other than the rain, just a great spot. Anytime there's water, it just makes me calmer. Makes me really relaxed. What a great deal. I should have came here the first night. I would have been here a lot longer. Very cool. Some guy's playing behind me. Let's check him out. So this is their man-made lake. It's right on the edge, well, kind of in the central, a little bit south central, but beautiful little lake. Little swan's coming up. He thinks I have some bread for him, but I don't have any bread. Sorry, buddy. No bread. Yeah, they feed him bread here. They get kind of spoiled. So what a neat little lake. Reminds me of the lakes back in Minneapolis. I miss having that to be around, so someday I'd like to be around a lake. It'd be fantastic. This review is about what I thought about Turkey. And it was just raining, so I'm kind of holding my umbrella with one hand. So if you're like me growing up in America, most often the only things that you really know about Turkey are what you see on the news, which was my experience. Now, all I would ever see was maybe a video of a tank, some flags, and some people, and I'd have to do something with a war. And that would be my impressions of Turkey. I never saw anything good about Turkey, so when it came time to go into Turkey, I was always like, Turkey? Really? I should go to Turkey and check that out. So yeah, I kind of had a jaded view of what it would be like and what to expect. So I kind of rebelled against going to Turkey at first because of just not knowing anything positive about it. And in many ways that wasn't true or correct. And so I'll kind of go over the things step by step of what I thought. So when I first arrived in Turkey, the first thing that really surprised me is how amazing the airports were. They were incredible. They were so modern. I just really was surprised at how wonderful the airports were. And they were better than most of the airports that I had seen in the U.S. Now, when I got on a bus to head to my first destination where I would be staying in Istanbul, I was amazed at how nice the highway systems were, and the roads were perfect. They were beautiful. They were much like anything that I would have ever seen back in the U.S., you know, and in some ways they were even better shape, if you can wrap that around your head. So, and it seemed like when I landed, it was like being in either a Northern California or a Southern Oregon. The terrain seemed very similar, and that's what it was like in Istanbul when I landed in those areas. So the prices in Istanbul seem very reasonable. For an average accommodation, you can stay averaging at the bottom end around $300 if you want a private place to yourself. You can live cheaper if you want to rent a room, but it was very affordable. And so I usually budget about $1,000 a month in the Philippines or in Turkey or anywhere I'm going. And I usually try to live within that budget. Sometimes it's less, very few times it's a little more, but that's kind of my budget. And so that wasn't that difficult to do living in Turkey. It just wasn't. It was pretty simple. Now, when I got there, I didn't know anything about the people. I didn't know anything about the culture. And so it was a big learning experience. It was my first full Muslim country that I'd ever been to. I got to see what it was like to be in a country where they have the call to prayer anywhere from 3 to 5 times a day. Now, to me, that was pretty loud. It was almost more than I was used to. It would be equivalent to having loud music to somebody that didn't like loud music, and I'm kind of sensitive to that. So I didn't really like that part. But on the other hand of it, it didn't seem like the people that I encountered were extremists or extreme in any sense of the word. Were those people there? Sure. But I didn't see that. I didn't see a real extreme side of Turkey, which I kind of thought it was, looking at the news my whole life and not knowing anything about the people. Now, one person had mentioned in the comments that Turkey was more European than Asia. I totally agree. I couldn't find anything in the areas that I was at that even reminded me of Asia. In fact, it was really, really hard to even find an Asian restaurant. There were very few Asian restaurants and very few Asian people anywhere in Turkey that I encountered. Now, there is a Filipino group, and they had mentioned that there were about 400 Filipinos that live inside of Turkey that are OFWs. And for a population of Turkey as big as it is, as big as a country as that is, that's very, very few people. And why that is, I don't know. So it's nice to get a chance to walk and talk with you guys. It's really been a while since I've found a nice lake setting. And here you can still see a few of the fall colors. Really cool. Like I say, I grew up around the lake, so this is kind of special for me to see this. So let's talk about food. Now, everybody talked about Turkey being the food mecca. And in many ways it was. I've never seen such amazing produce that I've seen in Turkey. It's big, it's fresh looking, and it's just out of this world. Now, being that they're kind of in the spice region, I expected everything to just be super flavorful, super spicy. And what surprised me the first few days is that some of the food I had was actually bland. And some of the different pizzas and things that I'd eaten, they weren't really flavored up. And in the Philippines, everything is pumped up with a lot of different salts and MSGs and stuff. So maybe I'm kind of coming from that realm before I went there. Let's get into the transportation into Turkey. I found Turkey to have one of the best transportation systems that I personally have ever used. The trams are right on time. Right after one tram, there's another tram, so you can transfer almost seamlessly. I never had to wait for trams longer than 10 or 15 minutes. Everything was amazing. Well, I guess I take that back. If I'm in a far away destination that's not serviced, then they may run once an hour. But if you're in like a big city, Istanbul, then they're running all the time. Now, one thing I was kind of surprised is how crazy the scooter drivers are. They're just hell-bent, and they're riding the sidewalks, they're riding every area they can, and nobody seems to care, and they just go as fast as they can in and out of people, and that I did not like. But other than that, that's about the only real negative. People are a little bit more aggressive there. Maybe it's a macho thing. I don't know what it is, but you kind of get that. You get that on the street. When you're walking, people kind of walk in front of you. And unless you look away or look down, they'll keep walking straight. So there is that. But overall, if you pin the people down, I think the people are good people. There's some really good people there. So where would I live if I could live in Turkey? I would choose to live on the coast, the Mediterranean coast. Mostly because the English speakers that are there will tend to gravitate toward that area. Language was a really tough barrier in most places, unless you had Google Translate, and even then, they'd give you a weird look like the translate wasn't really translating too well, so there is that. So the hardest thing for me being in Turkey is not able to make as many close connections as often as I'm used to making those in the Philippines. And it's not that they're not available, it's just it's not as easy to make as often, and it's going to take time. If Turkey was your place to live, it's more of a, okay, who do I know? How can I connect through them? I know these people, they'll recommend me, they'll introduce me. And that seems to be how a lot of things work there. So, the best I can tell you is just because people are of a different culture, a different religion, doesn't make or mean that they're going to be bad people. And it takes experiencing that from people that are good, that are different, to realize some of those things sometimes. I think we're all conditioned to think that because people are different that they're all bad, but that's not the case at all. I found people that would have given me their seat on a bus, would have given me their last dime if they knew I needed that help. People would have came to my defense, given me a ride. And so it changed me. It changed how I view people in a different place. And like I say, we're not raised to have that understanding. We have to experience it. We really do. Or be taught it some way. Now, when it comes to the girls, I don't know what to say about that whole thing, because the girls are really aloof. If you'll walk down a street or a road, and it doesn't matter if it was in Istanbul, Izmir, Selçuk, Cappadocia, Central Turkey, it just seems like if you're walking by them, they'll avoid looking at you and just not acknowledge you. And to me, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I don't want to feel invisible to anybody. You know, at least look up and notice me, but don't look away 100 feet down the road and keep looking away the whole time. That kind of makes me feel disconnected, and I don't like that at all. It just gives me an ugly feeling. And that's what I got. I got that everywhere. Now, it may be different if you're in a bar, if you're in a pub and they've had a few drinks, which wasn't an option because of COVID. Most of those places were closed, and the few pubs that I did see open, there were very few girls in there that were drinking. It was maybe 25-1. The ratio was just really off. Now, I will say the girls are some of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. They're incredible in Turkey. They're just some beautiful girls. But you're going to have to work to meet some. It's not going to be a quick and easy thing. Unless maybe you're at the bar hanging out. It just happens to work out like that. But to meet a good one, I think you're going to have to really work for it. So for me, the greatest joy of experience Turkey is opening up my mind to understanding that people are people, no matter where you go. They're just different because of their environment, their religion, the things that are around them. And so I think if you can go to Turkey and survive and make friends, you can go anywhere in the world, really. You know, it's usually the bad people that get the press. It isn't the good people. It isn't the good people that I saw giving me rides places. It isn't the good people that I see on the news helping me on the tram that I never knew. You know, so many people wanted me to sit down and have a tea with them. Once they knew that I was American, they're like, sit down and talk to us. The ones that knew English wanted to talk. They wanted to know about me. They wanted to know more about my culture. And I really liked that. And that made it worthwhile for me to find that interest. So you guys, I think everybody should visit Turkey. I think there's something everybody can gain, even if it's just for a week or 2 weeks, to experience the richness of Istanbul, to experience Cappadocia, the caves. I think everybody should go down there. I really do. I think it's an invaluable experience that you could gain. So what's my takeaway in all this? My takeaway is that if we could experience the richness of the other cultures and step inside their shoes for a while, I think it would encourage them to step inside our shoes for a while and want to experience things from our perspective. I think if we all did that, there'd be half of these wars going on, because people would realize we're all just people. We're not that much different. We really aren't. And that's my biggest takeaway. What a great little lake. I just love this little lake here. I hope you like it too. So when I first entered Turkey, I was pretty nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And it was no different than when I first went to the Philippines. Everything new can seem scary, kind of daunting. You don't know where anything is. And I'm used to just hopping on a motorcycle or getting in a car and going wherever I want to go. And that was an option. But I'm kind of used to wanting to have a motorcycle. And at the time, it just seemed like there wasn't a lot available because it being late in the season, a lot of that stuff was put away. I did find a place in Cappadocia that had a motorbike I was almost going to rent, but then it got to be really cold. It was in the 40-degree weather range, and I thought, yeah, I don't need to be getting sick either. So I just didn't use that option. So would I go back to Turkey? Someday I think I would. I think I would like to explore more of the Mediterranean. I would like to see more ancient sites. I would like to spend more time at the caves in Cappadocia. I think I would like to do that. But I think I would be more happy if I did it outside of COVID, because everything is different. That dynamic traveling during COVID, it is a very different season. And now, just as I was leaving, everything was starting to kind of close up. It wasn't off limit to tourists, but there was no dining in. There was no passes for the buses that were being issued, no passes for the trams. It was just getting kind of ridiculous. And I thought, you know what, it's time to go. My time is almost up, and it was just right on time. So it really worked out. Another thing, I see a lot of people that will go to a country, and they'll be there 7 to 10 days. And they try to give you an overview of what that country's like with such a short time being there. And all they can give you is just the skin, the first skin of what a country is like. Until they spend a month or more, they have no idea what the culture is like, what the people are like, what the language barrier does. You know, they're in and out. So imagine somebody comes to your town and they're there 7 to 10 days. How much can they know about your town and the people, right? It's no different. So if you want an honest opinion from travel vloggers, find somebody that's really spent a little time there. And I think you're going to get a more honest approach and honest opinion. If you guys are here in Tirana, come to this lake. This is really good. Now, the thing that I'm dealing with here is there's been a shooting between an officer and someone from the public. And so things are getting a little sketchy being in the area that I am. It's not completely unsafe, but there are things that are starting to happen around this area that, yeah, I kind of need to be in another place. That's kind of how I feel. I don't feel totally in danger's way, but if I'm outside, it could be a problem at night. So I had planned to go to the coast, and that's kind of my next move. I'm headed to the coast, and originally that's what I was going to do, but since there's an expat here that wanted to meet, I decided to spend a few more days here than normal, trying to get to know him, trying to find out what was here in this local area. And so that's kind of why I've stayed in the Tirana zone. But my heart is, I'm kind of a coastal guy. I like to be around nature. And so that and something old and interesting seems like the thing to do. So the other thing is, most of the clubs and the things that have a nightlife, they're not really in full swing with this COVID. So I can't give you that. I have to give you the area, the history, and my opinion of the people more than anything. That's kind of what I can offer you at this point. But if things were in full swing, I would definitely check out some of those places for the people that are interested in that. I know there are a few, so. Man, I'm like the only one in this little spot right here down in this little cove, and it's wonderful, and I could just close my eyes, and it's so peaceful. It's so nice. This is a really great spot. So if you are in the city and you need some therapy, come to this man-made lake. There's places to work out around the lake, great walking trails, there's running paths. It's a real good asset. It's probably my favorite spot so far in Tirana. Come down here to this spot. I think you really like it. So I think I've grown a lot just being gone and in another country that was so different from anything I've ever experienced before. I really do. I believe it really grew me. And it can grow you too. That's why I suggest spending a little time there. And if you can, more than 7 to 10 days. Because I think it'll change you also. And that can't be a bad thing, right? 'Cause we're all a work in progress. No matter who we are. No matter where we're from. And that's really the takeaway in life. What do we have to gain by stepping outside? What do we have to lose by not stepping outside? It's been so long since I've been to an actual lake that had a fall feel. I haven't experienced a full fall in about 5 years. So it's kind of neat to feel that again. I didn't realize how much I really missed that beautiful setting with the leaves and the trees and the water. Just trying to become a part of that. So today's voyage is to go around this lake, kind of experience what that's like. And that's what we're doing. Finding a path less traveled and doing that. Beautiful. That's a painting right there, you guys. That is a painting. Look at that. If I were to sum some things up, I would say that almost whatever you want in Turkey you can find. If it's your goal to have a really tight society where the trash is taken out, where the electricity doesn't go off, where everything that you're used to in a normal society is on par, then Turkey's got it going on. It really does. It's really well put together. Never had a power outage. Never had any issues in that sense. But if your goal is to get into a community right away without knowing some of the language, that's going to take you a while. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And if you're okay with that, great. If you want more community than services, then maybe try somewhere else, because you're going to have to work to feel a part of something. And I think once you get into that groove and you find some people, I think you could have a real lifelong, everlasting thing. But you're going to have to be there for some time to do that. So there is that. Now the history is so incredible. And the beautiful thing, they let you go through it. They let you go into the ruins, stand on the ruins. And to me, that's so wonderful. Back in the US, everything is so controlled. You have to stand behind a rope for every little aspect. And now they're even worried that if you step on a green thing, they've got it roped off in some of the highland areas. It's just getting really kind of crazy. And so it's nice to have that freedom again. Freedom to kind of go back in time a little bit and experience what that was like in the present. I wholeheartedly believe everybody should experience that. It's my first time here, you guys, so we get to experience this lake together and what winds around each corner. Nobody knows. There was a book called My Side of the Mountain You guys ever heard of that book? And the guy lived in a hollowed out tree. And that was his home. There you go. This could be your home. Complete with mushrooms. Complete with mushrooms. And a second exit. Look, you can go out there, come in the front, and go out the back. You got 2 doors. You're all set. Now, when I was in Turkey, I was kind of torn of where to go for each thing. I wanted to spend a little bit more time outdoors, but then I knew the history was so invaluable that if I didn't go there and vlog that, I would regret not doing it. And people would be hassling me for the longest time. You didn't go here, you didn't go there. Okay, I get it. But for me, it was therapy to experience those things. And so now in this town, it doesn't seem to be as much history per se that I can find. So I get to explore some of this nature, become a part of it. It really is relaxing. There's an older oak right there. That's a pretty good sized tree. So you might think I'm history crazy, but I'm even more crazy for outdoors and experiencing stuff like this. This is my therapy for life. This is where I find my center too. If it isn't through music, it's through nature. It's a nice trail here, you guys.